I already know every guru in the OFM space right now is about to hate this video. The reason why I'm making this video in the first place is because yesterday, whilst on my weekly Telegram call that I host every Friday in my free community, link in the description if you're interested, I had a guy ask me if I were to lose everything, basically start in a lot of your guys' situation, complete beginner, not knowing what to do, wondering what path you should go on. How would I start knowing everything that I know now, but with no resources, no models, no upfront investments? How would I get from zero to where I'm at now in 90 days or less? Now, the first thing that I explained to him that 90 days was a cap to get to the point where I was at now. That would take luck. And honestly, it would take way too much luck to get to the point where I'm at now in 90 days as a complete beginner. So do not think that that is exactly where I'm starting. But if I lost every model, every account, every single system and had to start completely from zero, this would be exactly how I rebuild my OnlyFans agency in 2025. And listen, I've done this before. I've started with nothing, and I'm actually going to contradict and explain why a lot of the mistakes that I did when I was first starting are the reason why I'm here today. But I'm going to teach you guys how to skip those mistakes. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything that I've been saying into a week by week, step by step system for you to implement if you are a complete beginner. So let's talk about step one. I want to first get across the point that you guys way undervalue the actual effect that a model has on your agency. Your first model is everything. She's your brand, your team. It's honestly how the energy for your next 90 days, 60 days, whatever it is going to go for your agency. People think that building an agency is about you and getting the most models and getting the craziest setup. It's not that at all. If you have a terrible model off the start, and I'm going to be getting into why it's such a big effect, and honestly, your agency lifespan is going to be terrible. It affects your income, your stress levels, your hunger, your team, and honestly the retention of how long you stay in this industry. So first thing that I would make sure I am not a part of is that hunger for signing anybody. That FOMO feeling of not being able to get in, get a client, sign a creator and onboard her. Listen, there are 4 million creators on the OF platform, and there are plenty for you to sign. So when doing your outreach, don't just sign off anybody that replies or sign off hunger. Sign off of strategic strategy that you implemented to make sure that your next 90, 60 days, whatever it is, goes to plan. Models who look inconsistent, not high quality, or seem like a headache from the jump is not something that you want to get into at the beginning. And a lot of this does direct towards all of the YouTube information that is thrown at you, because people make it seem like if you just sign any one creator that you're going to go so fucking far as income, but that's just not the case. In honesty, it is so essential that you sign an A-tier model before you go looking for just mass volume of models. All of the free information that you guys consume on YouTube is something that I would steer away from, because once you have the basics, the pipelines, and the systems that you need to operate and picking a strategy that you're going to run, you do not need to be over consuming YouTube, because that's going to lead you down perfect paralysis. And honestly, I'd say a good 75% of this entire industry is straight gurus, and honestly some of the worst that I've seen. People that don't even run an agency, people that have gone broke and still promoting their courses, people who sell you PDFs for $49. It honestly goes down a rabbit hole that you do not need to include yourself in. When I started, I was wasting weeks. I was not valuing execution over education. You learn by actually doing, by getting in the game, making mistakes, reframing, and then coming up with a different result or answer, not by optimizing everything in your head. You cannot keep all of the information in business inside of your head. Write it out, do it, find the mistakes, and then reframe. Now, my second point to this is having a plan, and not just a plan of how you're going to run your agency, but a plan as in knowing your market and knowing your niche. You don't need to know every model, every niche, everything, right? That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to know the right models and the right niches that have the best yield as far as investment to ROI goes. Focusing on high volume and high converting niches is what's going to separate you from starting with a girl that just has some random niche and low resources to film. Things like girl next door, curvy with personality, etc. Things like that. Those types of niches that have been around forever that you can play the strings of marketing with to make your agency stick out or your model stick out a little bit more than the rest. If you don't know what kind of content pays and how you're going to monetize that content, you'll end up marketing your model totally wrong and eventually burn out. All right, so this next point that I want to cover, a lot of you guys are going to kind of raise eyebrow for, but I'm going to be real with you. You guys cannot start an agency with $0, half commitment, and just looking at videos online to see how successful you can become. You can start with low money, but if you have no money, no income, this industry is not for you, and you need to go find some sort of capital before getting into this. This is a business, guys. I cannot stress the amount of people that have said, if I have $0, zero commitment, spending 2 hours a day, barely speak English, how can I make $10,000 a month? My simple answer is you can't. This is a business, not a fucking lemonade stand. And you don't need much. Like, I've started honestly in a totally different spot than a lot of guys. I started with $100 around year and a half ago, and I've scaled my agency to the point it's at now. But if I was starting again, I would 100% have more capital to invest back into myself and the business. So with that being said, a budget of $500 to $1,000 to put into the business itself, disregarding anything else that you want to spend on, is about the amount of capital that you'll need to successfully be able to afford things. Capital lets you buy promos, test ad strategies, hire chatters, everything in between like that. If not, you're going to be scrambling looking for ins and outs and ways to work around the system, which is honestly not how this industry works. I get it. Being broke and trying to feel heroic and make this $10,000 empire feels good and feels nice, but it gets exhausting. It makes burnout feel right around the corner almost all the time. So my advice to you is have some skin to put into the game. So with all of those key points and ideologies kind of mixed around, I want to break it down into a step-by-step, week-by-week process. So week 1 to week 2, this is exactly what I'll be focusing on. I would be creating any sort of social proof that I can. This is your agency page, your personal account, a fake model account, anything like that. And I would begin cold outreach. And regarding the social proof, what I mean by this is real screenshots, results, stories, showing your personality, showing who you are, not just a agency logo. Now, this is where a lot of guys will probably disagree, but I would spend 14 to even X longer days until I sign a A-tier model. An A-tier does not mean 400K on Instagram, already making 50 grand a month. That's not who you're going for. To give you a really clear example, we signed a creator who had 15,000 followers on Instagram, no previous OF. You guys would say, oh, I'm not going to sign a girl who doesn't have any experience in OF or doesn't want to start an OF. We DM'd her purely off of cold outreach, 15K followers, no reels. She just got followers from being popular in her area, and we signed her and did $88,000 her first month. And of course, here's the proof for that, so none of you guys can call bullshit on anything that I talk about. So after I set my standard for what kind of model that I'm going to sign, once I do sign her, book in a call, and onboard her, I'm going to start something called the MAF half system. And this isn't a system, it's just an ideology to have with your client. And what MAF half stands for is make a friend, help a friend. This comes from the remote salesman on Instagram. I'm sure you guys have seen his videos. He sells roofing or some sort of consulting for roofing businesses, but he's a really good salesman in knowing how to use psychology mixed with personality to get your desired want. So after I make her my friend, make her trust me, have a mutual trust relationship, I'm going to be creating daily touches, shared goals, clarity on what she wants, and also producing the result that we want together. And then the help a friend part comes in of actually getting those results, working with them, seeing if there's anything that we could do more. Now, by week 3 to 5, I'm going to be fully launching my Instagram system and strategy. And if you signed an A-tier model, you should already have an IG account with a model with some sort of following. So I would start there. And yes, a A-tier model includes a model who is comfortable with being known as an OF girl. Even if she looks great and looks amazing, but you have to start a new account, hide her from countries, can't promote her on her main account, that's not an A-tier model. That is a damn headache. So hopefully you already have an IG account. If not, start fresh, buy a new one, warm it up, whatever it is. If you're interested in knowing my full warm-up process, I usually go over it almost every single week inside of the Telegram calls. So go hit those up, link in the description. From there, I would start exploring my strategies depending on what niche she is. So I would usually, if she is just my typical girl next door, curvy, those sort of niches, I will run a explore page campaign to make sure that we get some initial likes, followers, and comments on her post, as well as beginning posting reels. From there, marketing, there's obviously so many things that I could go into in this video, but for the sake of time, after I am working on my marketing, pulling in some engagement, I'm then going to prioritize the OF. And to be completely real, I would do this in a bit of an opposite. If I was sure that my marketing was going to perform, I would have already set up the OF with chatters, vault organization, everything that I'm about to talk about. But if you weren't sure and you were starting fresh, cash, it's good to get that set up before the back end. So I would hire a chatter or I would do it myself depending on the level of income that I'm making. But essentially I would start monetizing every single sub, fan, interaction that comes into that page for money, all using our proven scripts, objections, experiences on that page itself to make sure that we yield the best results. And then week 8 to 12, I would just do what I'm doing now. I would collect data, optimize systems, look at analytics, see if I can build anything more as far as scalability, making more money on views, converting more from the IG to OF, all of that little shit in between. And then once I have that down, I would simply rinse and repeat. Now, let me flip the script here really quickly. You really shouldn't have even been watching this video unless, of course, if you're a complete beginner introducing yourself to this. But if you're somebody that already has the ideologies and the understanding of OF, this is why you watching this video and the countless others that you are is killing your drive. If you're sitting there scared to start and you're watching these YouTube videos to validate your dreams, live through these people who have already made it like myself, let me say this. Fuck that. Watching me win and everybody else win while you sit back and hustle is doing nothing beneficial for what you want to become. And even if you don't realize it subconsciously, you are comparing yourself to these people who have already made it to your current state. And believe me, people who have actually done it, like myself, we have dealt with all of the shit that you are dealing with now. We are just not posting about it. We're not experiencing it live. And so that's why you need to put your head down, pick up the work, start messy, start ugly, start whatever, but just start. You don't need 10K followers. You don't need a perfect deck. You don't need $3,000 to get into the space. You need work ethic, clarity, and commitment to yourself and your business. So that's been my 2 cents on starting OFM as a complete beginner. Now, if you're interested to see how I started all of the fuck ups, the bad mistakes, the bad spending habits, starting with $100 and in under 18 months, scaling it to over $150,000 per month, first link in the description, it'll take you to a video where I explain my entire story. Free training, no guru shit, just raw reality. If you're ready to take this serious, and I'm not saying you have to be by any means, because if you're not committed for yourself, that is not my job to do for you. But if you are and you're looking to make this into something bigger, I recommend go checking out that video. Other than that, that's been my input. I appreciate you watching to the end. It's been Griffin, and peace out.